All right, what's up guys? Nick Hott here with DFS Gym. I just want to take a couple minutes and take you guys through the deadlift progression that we use for new clients here at DFS Gym. You can use this for people, well, you can use this whether you've never deadlifted before or if you're pretty experienced at deadlift and just looking to fine tune your technique. Okay, so here at DFS Gym, we have new people coming in, especially if they've never deadlifted before. We always have everybody start practicing with our kettlebell deadlift, okay? And the first thing we want to make sure we get in place is a good starting position with that deadlift, okay? So there's a few general rules no matter what version of the deadlift we're doing that we want to get into place and make rock solid before we progress away from the kettlebell to the more difficult variations of the deadlift, okay? So the first thing we need to do is establish a good starting position, okay? So to get the good starting position with the kettlebell, I'm going to start with that kettlebell as close to my center of mass as possible. That means in close to me. It's not out away from me. And the best way to do that is to line the handle of the kettlebell up with the bones of my ankle, right? So I have a straight line coming across here from the side. I do not want that kettlebell far out in front of me. I want to get lined up so that kettlebell is in my center of mass, okay? Once we have you with that kettlebell close to your center of mass, all I have my clients do is get a nice flat back and squat down until they can grab that kettlebell. Generally, this gets people into a pretty good deadlift position. If you're like me when we get to this position and your knees are very far out in front of your elbows, right? What I have people do is keeping that flat back and that chest out, just raise their butt slightly until those knees and elbows are lined up. All right, this is a good position for me to pull from here, okay? So again, from another angle, I'm here, I've got that kettlebell close to my center of mass. I'm keeping my knees out. I'm gonna squat down to get that kettlebell, and I'm just gonna pick my hips up slightly so that I'm in that good flat back deadlift position. This is a good starting position, okay? The next step, once we've kind of established that good starting position, is we wanna make sure that we're engaging our lats properly. That's these muscles right here. And the reason we wanna do that is when we properly engage those muscles, we're going to help shore up that upper back and prevent it from rounding forward or collapsing forward in the deadlift. Let me show you an example of what happens when those shoulders collapse forward. So we'll be in a good deadlift position here, and when people lift, you'll see those shoulders round forward and that upper back round with it as they start to lift, right? So we want to prevent any back rounding we can and keep that back nice and neutral. So we're going to engage those lats. The easiest way to kind of feel that is to put your hand on a partner or a coach's shoulder and press down firmly to help activate those muscles. That way you feel what that feels like. Now, I don't have a coach in here with me, just Trevor. He's back there laying on the floor. So I'm gonna use this PVC pipe. What you can do is just put your hand on top of whatever it is, the shoulder or the pipe, and push down as hard as you can. That's gonna engage these muscles here, the lats, and let you feel what that feels like to engage that muscle. So we wanna do that same thing when we're pulling that kettlebell. That same thing when we're pulling that kettlebell towards us, right? So I'm here, I've got my good deadlift position, my chest is out, my weight's through my heels. I'm gonna engage those lats, that tightens up that back, boom, and then I can lift the kettlebell by driving my feet through the floor. Going from another angle here. So I'm in my good position, my weight's flat through my feet, my knees are out. Good starting position, my lats are engaged, driving those feet through the floor. Okay? Once our clients have mastered the kettlebell version of the deadlift, we can then move on to the next step up. What I would consider the next step up is the trap bar deadlift. Our trap bar deadlift variation, right? There's a couple ways we can do this. If you have this kind of trap bar that has the high and the low handles, you can do either your standard deadlift height or a raised height. Any raised variation height is going to be good for somebody who cannot keep a neutral spine and get all the way down low enough to grab the bar from its normal position. So we can use a raised height for the kettlebell, for the deadlift with the high handles, or even for the barbell by propping the plates up on something a little bit higher like a box or some bumper plates. For today's demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at the high handles here. So what we're going to do is get inside the trap bar, right? Our setup is then the same here, okay? I want to get if the bar went straight across here, I want to line that up as close to my center of mass as possible. So what I'm going to do here is just make sure my ankle bones are placed directly in the center of that bar, okay? So I'm lined up, I'm in the center of that bar. I don't know if you guys can see that with the plates in the way. In the center of that bar, same position. I'm getting that low butt, right? Good 45-degree angle of the thighs. My chest is out. I'm engaging those lats to keep that back nice and tight. And I'm driving those feet through the floor, making sure, especially at the top of the trap bar, that I'm keeping that core nice and tight. What you don't want to see is that trap bar swinging at all, okay? Down, controlled. So one of the mistakes I see with the trap bar is people start, it's very easy to start too far forward or too far back. We're making sure those hands are in line with the shins. I'm engaged, my knees are staying out, not buckling in as I press, and I'm driving those legs through the floor. All right, once we've got that trap bar variation of the deadlift down, we can go ahead and move on safely to the barbell variation of the deadlift. Okay, with the barbell, again, the same principles apply here. We want to make sure we've got that good flat back, those lats engaged. We're driving safely with those legs. And especially with the barbell, it becomes a little bit more difficult to keep that weight close to your center of mass. The kettlebell and the trap bar allow a little bit more play with that, so it's a little bit easier to do with those. With the deadlift bar, you want to make sure basically that bar is on skin the entire way up as you do the lift. Right, so I'm getting my good position that we talked about. That bar is getting set up so that it's over the knots of my shoelaces. I'm coming down, that bar's on my shins here. My lats are engaged, the back is nice and flat. My knees are out. And I can lift there, squeezing my butt at the top. Again, driving with those legs as the bar comes off the ground. Now, especially with the barbell variation of the deadlift, one of the mistakes I see a lot is what I call stripper deadlift. Strippers deadlift like this, right? We want to avoid stripper deadlifts at all costs. So those hips and the knees with all of these variations should lock at the same time. Again, bad deadlift here would be butt comes up first, and I'm two motions. So you saw my knees lock, and then my hips locked afterwards. Again, a bad version, my knees lock, and then my hips lock afterwards. A good version of this deadlift, we want to see those knees and those hips lock simultaneously. So I'm here, I got my good deadlift position, lats engaged, drive, one lock with both of those two joints. Back down nice and controlled. All right, guys, I hope that helps you guys out. Happy deadlifting, and I'll see you soon.